Hi, in this video, we're going to fix our problem with our gravel type. I can show you what the problem is if we run and we add a record. It's getting converted to our code, which is great. That's what we want. When we click on it to display it in our properties window, it's still displayed as the code. So if we go into update and we change something, we crash because we can't use that properly. So we need some sort of method to convert that code back into the long string. Let's review what our enums are. Close out of all of this. We set up our enum in our load class. So I'm looking at our load class here, and our enum is pretty straightforward. It's just a list of the valid gravel types that we sell. We like to have this saved in an enum, and that way we can make sure that only valid values are used. Now, we converted the first letter of each of these to a code for display in our list box. And that's just how our users wanted it. So we got that code converting, but now how do we take that code and get a long name back that we can use again to go through the whole process so that we don't have an error? Well, let's look at our form code. And we have our type of gravel method right now that is taking whatever selected item in the combo box was chosen, and returning that is just a code, just a 1-character digit. So we're going to add a new method here. I'd like to add a method that will return that string value back. So I think I'll call it type of gravel to string. Does that seem logical? Because we want it to go back to a string value. I'd like to be able to look at each of, I'm going to go ahead and put a return statement in to get rid of that error. And then we can work on this here. Now what I'd like to do is kind of get a list of all of the enums, and then I could check to see which one matched that first digit character that we have saved off. So I'm going to use a for each loop to do that. I'm not, my for each command is not really smart enough to be able to change this enum into a specific object type. So I'm going to use the var data type. The var data type just means it's a variable data type, and it kind of will take anything. Why don't we use it all the time? Well, because it takes a lot more resources to use a var data type than a specific native data type. But we're going to create this var variable named e, and we want it to be everything in our enum. So I did some Googling, and I found that we could do enum.getValues, and then we could pass in what our enum structure is, gravel types here, to that, and it should loop through all of those items for us. Now the problem that I had is that it keeps saying that gravel types is a type, which is not valid. So a little bit more Googling, and I found that we could use the type of specifier to say it's whatever type of thing you need, and it will work properly. Let's make sure. I'm going to put a message box dot show within this for each loop, and each time it executes, I want to show that e value. Now I don't have a call for this method anyplace, so let's put that in. It's down in our list box, selected index processing, where we left this to do. So what I'm going to do is say that I want to call our new method, type of gravel, And I think that our type of gravel toString method should get our type of gravel as a parameter. I don't want it to be a string though, I want it to be a char. So I'm just going to go ahead and say we're going to pass in that type of gravel. Now that's giving me an error because I didn't specify that in the parameter list. So I will go back to my type of gravel toString and put that in, that I want a char parameter that's going to be my type. I'm not using that yet, but we'll just go ahead and put that parameter in to resolve this compile error. So now in my selected index changed event, when I'm taking the instance from our list box and putting the data into our properties fields, I'm going to be calling this type of gravel toString. That's going to turn it back to a string based on the char data that is there right now. So this is just a test. Let's try it. I'm going to add an item. I'm going to pick something. Now, when I click on this, we should see those message boxes start popping up. Here we are. So here are all the enums in our enum. We had rock, sand, creek rock, red rock, e-concrete. So that looks good. It looks like it's working properly. It's giving us all of the items. We turned that value of unknown because we haven't added our code in yet to return the right string value. But that looks good. So let's add in our code. As we're going through this loop, I think that I can just say if my type that was passed in is equal to E position 0, then I want to use it. Now E, it's not really a string, it's an object. So I'll go ahead and convert it to a string to be able to use that in this indexed mode. Then, if that match does occur, I'm going to return e.toString. I don't know what kind of object E is in there. It's an enum type of object. Now that looks good. We should be all set. Let's add a comment. Okay, so now we've got everything all set. Let's add. Choose something. Now I've got this C value, and sure enough, it gets converted properly to creek rock. Now I can update and not have an error as it gets converted back and forth. Oftentimes when we're working with systems, we need to convert code values to value values. This is just one way that we can do that. There are lots and lots of ways. This gives us a short intro to the enum and how we can use things. Now, as I was testing, I noticed that when we do that process, and I click and I update, it all works great, but I'm still displaying data over here and my text boxes are open. So that's a problem with at the end of our update that we did not resolve. Let's fix it. I'm going to collapse these back down, and I need to find my update method. Here's our update list. When we get done with our add to list, we're using our clear form, we're running our enable disable, and we're setting our list box loads focus so that it's got control. We're basically setting our list index to a non-selected value. So I think that I would like to, oh look, we have a duplicate statement there. I'm going to copy these 4 pieces and put them at the end of our update list, which again, of course, makes us think, wow, those should be a method. Looks good. Let's try it. They should be a method. I'm going to add. Sometimes things don't work out as they should, right? We always strive for perfection. Sometimes we are okay with mediocrity, just like our sayings. Okay, so now I'm going to update again. And yay, we're all cleared out. Everything looks great. I'm going to add another. I guess he's just 2. Record 2 shows. If I update, get updated. Oh, everything's looking great, huh? All right. So there is a delete that needs to be created. I'm going to leave that to you. So that's where we're going to end this one of our just little quick fixes.